Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 6 4 key game picks. Before we talk about Week 6, Week number 5, there's no more undefeated teams. Both the Eagles and the Bills both lost their respective games, but I think the one that was a bit of a surprise had to have been the Eagles, because well, look, the Broncos were kind of I don't know, how do I say this? The Broncos really did not play their best game at all, and the Eagles had the majority of the in that game. They had the majority of the lead into the fourth quarter until the Eagles fell apart. And you know, you got to wonder a couple things. If you got to wonder if Bo Nix and that offense finally found their groove, or just that there's definitely some huge problems in the Eagles secondary. But obviously, a lot of people focused on more of the offense, and a lot of people were wondering where A.J. Brown was and where the rest of their offense was. And where was Saquon Barkley in that game? I mean, he didn't really play. He didn't get that much carries as well as much yardage. But I don't know. I'll give the Broncos some credit that they were able to hold their offense and were able to mount the comeback late in the fourth quarter. And it also involved a gutsy 2-point conversion that Sean Payton, their coach, really went through, because knowing Sean Payton throughout his career as coach with the Saints, they barely went for two a lot. But obviously, I think the Broncos know that they're barely starting to get the core of their team to finally buy into what he's been telling them. But really, the Eagles, sooner or later, a lot of these games, because really, they had to really grind out a lot of their victories, and this was a victory that came up and bite them in the rear. And sooner or later, this was going to happen. Same thing for the Bills. They were also in the same boat, as well as, grinding out victories. It was a very good Sunday night game and a very close game against the Pats. I got to wonder if it's Drake May and their offense. I mean, look, Stephon Diggs was really unbelievable in that game. I mean, he really carried the Pats offense throughout that entire game. It went back and forth, and the Patriots ended up winning on a field goal in the end. I don't want to say that there should be some panic for the Bills. I mean, they're finally getting their first loss. I think more of the panic's more on the Eagles side, because their offense has enormous question marks. Where do they stand, and who did they go to try to muster out yardage and points? I don't know. Looking back at the Rams-49ers game, give the 49ers their due and credit. Despite nearly half their team on injury, they somehow managed to grind out a victory over the Rams last week. And everybody questions that fourth down play in the end, in overtime, why they ran it when they should have gone to the hot hands. Coach McVay, I should say, did mount up to it and took responsibility for it, which is very rare in NFL coaches. I really think that running, he had to go for it on fourth down. It was the right call, but it was the wrong play. You actually should go with the hot hand with Nacua. I mean, Stafford and Nacua was really very important in the second half of that game. I look at other games. Lions are still on a roll. They dismantled a very helpless Bengals offense, which I just found out before this video was made, that they traded for Joe Flacco. Is this supposed to make their offense any better? I know that Browning has been awful, but I highly doubt that, Joe Flacco's going to do much for that offense. I don't know. When I look back at the rest of week number 5, it was pretty much average. Gabriel got his first start with the Browns. I should mention that. He played decently, but the Vikings ended up getting the victory. And the Jets gonna jet, because they haven't won a game, and they got just basically routed by the Cowboys. Anyways, there's a whole lot of things I could get into about week number 5, but we need to get to my week 6 picks. All right, let's begin with key game number 1. It is the Monday night game between the Bears and the Commanders. The Commanders are a 4.5-point favorite. I could see it going to 4, maybe 3.5, maybe. The Bears were on their bye week last week, and this is Caleb Williams' stats from week number 4. He had 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They got lucky in that game against the Raiders, where the Raiders self-destructed in the end, and the Bears' special teams somehow won the game for them. And for the Commanders, hard for me to talk about this because they did beat the Chargers, and and during when I made my picks in the description for all of my I did pick the Chargers, but obviously I thought I had a feeling that was going to be a trap game for the Chargers. But anyways, Jaden Daniels was 15 of 26, 231 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Keep in mind, these two teams are meeting for a second time since that Hail Mary that was done at the end of the fourth quarter from Jaden Daniels to Noah Brown in last year's game, in last year's Hail Mary game. And is there any chance the Bears might get any sort of payback in this game? I don't know. Caleb Williams is starting to finally, and give credit to Ben Johnson, he's being able to get some things turned around for this Bears offense. But really their question's really more on their defense. Can their defense stop the run or any sort of big plays? Because I look for the Bears, if they're going to win this game, they need a lot more out of DeAndre Swift. They really to get the running game going, and they need to. And DJ Moore has to really have a big game for the passing game for the Bears. For the Commanders, Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin are still questionable, in which really could help out a lot of their offense here. And Deebo Samuel, I feel, needs to have a very big game since he's really the only target for the moment right now for Jaden Daniels. I look at this football game, it comes down to really whose offense shows up more. Because both these two defenses are susceptible to, they're both are average in defense, and I have to wonder now whose offense will show up more in this game. Who do I see winning this game? I think the Commanders will beat the Bears here. There's just too many question marks on the Bears secondary and their ability to stop and their ability to give up any big plays. And it's going to be tough for them because Jaden Daniels is mobile as well as Caleb Williams is, and that's why I feel like this is going to be a close game. But I think the Commanders have enough to pull out a victory here against the Bears here. I'm picking the Commanders at -4.5. They'll beat the Bears in this one here. All right, key game number 2. The Seahawks versus the Jaguars. The Jaguars are a slight 1.5-point favorite. Wouldn't surprise me if it goes to 1. Sam Darnold with the Seahawks and a shootout with the Bucs they had last week. He went 28 of 34, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, but one costly interception late in the fourth quarter that killed the Seahawks when they could have had a chance to win the game, and that ended up costing them. Now the Jaguars in a big victory over the Chiefs last week. Trevor Lawrence was 18 of 25, 221 yards, 1 touchdown, but he also was picked off once. Keys in this game here for the Seahawks here. Where is Kenneth Walker? That running game for the Seahawks is really having some... I don't know what's going on with their offensive line, but they're having trouble running the ball. Kenneth Walker really needs to get that running game going for the Seahawks if they have any sort of... If they really want to win this game. And they need to get Cooper Kupp involved as well. He's been a no-show since he signed with them. And you got to wonder, where is Kupp? I feel like these two players need to really help get that Seahawks offense on track, even though they were in a shootout, but a lot of it's really more on their defense. The Seahawks defense isn't that good. That's why I could see this game being high scoring again. For the Jaguars, Travis Etienne needs to be more involved in the running game. And Brian Thomas, with that big catch he had against the Chiefs, and Travis Hunter need to show up big in this game as well in order for them to beat the Seahawks. Because I can see this game going back and forth here. I think this will be a back and forth game here. So who wins this game here? Who do I see winning this game? I'm going to go with the Jaguars here because the Seahawks defense has a lot of problems. A lot of problems in the secondary, and their defensive line is having a hard time stopping the run still. But I look at this game, though, for the Jaguars. I mean, their defense really showed up a lot against the Chiefs, even though they gave up 28 points. But given how the Jaguars and the way that Trevor Lawrence carried that team, especially when he ran into the end zone, that was a crazy play. He did, after stumbling and somehow still made the end zone for the game-winning touchdown against the Chiefs last week. The Jaguars I'm picking here, I think they'll beat the Seahawks. It's going to be a very close game. This is a 50-50 toss-up here. It's very important for Seattle in this game because they're trying to keep pace in the NFC West. And for the Jaguars, they're trying to keep pace also with the Colts in the AFC South. I think the Jaguars will barely inch out of victory here because the Seahawks defense I have too many questions on. I'm picking the Jaguars to beat the Seahawks. Jaguars at -1.5. Key game number 3. 49ers versus the Buccaneers. Mac Jones was 33 of 49 last week, 342 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a big victory over the Rams last week. Still a lot of question marks with this team. I mean, look at the injuries that the 49ers have. Brock Purdy's still out, who is questionable. Jordan Watkins, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Robert Beal. These are important to the 49ers offense here because the Buccaneers are no joke, even though they're dealing with injuries of their own. And obviously, Irving, who knows if he's going to play. He's obviously out. And, of course, they're still without Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield was 29 of 33, 379 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a big, big victory over the Seahawks last week. You got to wonder for the 49ers, who is left other than McCaffrey? Who do you go to in this game? And for the Buccaneers, they're facing the same dilemma. Ibuka is really the only player they have here because they didn't have Irving in the running game. And Ibuka's going to have to really have another great game. And everybody's going to have to contribute in terms of their wide receivers if they're going to win this game against the 49ers. This is another tough game. Bucks are 2.5-point favorite. And given the way the 49ers defense is still pretty banged up and all, I like the Buccaneers more in this game because I just think that the defense for the 49ers, they're really stretched thin. They're really stretched thin, and the Bucs offense is slightly better than the Niners. Well, given the Niners with their injuries, I could see why the Bucs are more the favorite in this game. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers. They'll inch out a victory barely against the 49ers. I can see that because I can see this game going back and forth too. But the Buccaneers have the better offense in this one here. I'm picking the Buccaneers at -2.5 to beat the 49ers. And finally, key game number 4. It's the big one on Sunday night. The Lions versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 2.5-point favorite. And that number will probably go to 2, maybe 1.5. Jared Goff was 19 of 23, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. Luckily, no interceptions he had. Now, Patrick Mahomes was 29 of 41, 318 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception that was a pick 6. That really did not do them any good against the Jaguars, and that's how they ended up coming back late in the fourth quarter. Lions keys in this game here. I feel like Gibbs should get the call and should really get more of the carries in this game because really you got to wonder about that Chiefs defense in terms of stopping the run. They did have trouble with the Jaguars running game, and you know with Montgomery and Gibbs they have that tandem duo in terms of the run game. Montgomery was really big last week. He had more of the offense in terms of the run game than Gibbs was. But I feel Gibbs' presence in this game definitely should be more involved in this one here against the Chiefs. And I feel like their rookie wide receiver Isaac Tasala, I think could be basically a sleeper pick in this one here to help the Lions offense in this game. Now on the Chiefs side here, Pacheco and Hunt ran the ball not that much last week. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes did a lot more passing in that game. Could we see this two run the ball a little bit more effectively against that Lions defense? And Worthy needs to have a big game. Worthy wasn't all that much involved last week. And you got to wonder if he will have a big game in this one here in order for the Chiefs to win. This one's another toss-up here because both offenses are good. Defense-wise, they're about even. So this could be an offensive slugfest going on Sunday night. But somehow I see the Chiefs winning this game because the Lions still have a hard time with mobile quarterbacks. And knowing Mahomes and the way they're able to change up, and then, you can't forget about Kelsey and all that. This is gonna be a very, very tight ball game for 4 quarters. I can see it. Somehow, some way, I can see the Chiefs winning this game here. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs here. I'll be rooting for the Lions, really, in this one here. But I just got to be a little bit more reasonable here. I think the Chiefs will get a bounce-back game here. It's going to be a very tight ball game. It's hard to say who wins this one here. But I'm picking the Chiefs. For some reason, I can see them walking out with a victory. I'm going to pick the Chiefs at -2, especially this is important for them. They're trying to keep pace in the AFC West as well as a playoff spot. I'm picking the Chiefs to beat the Lions. It's hard to pick this one here, but I'm going to pick the Chiefs in this one here. It's a tough one. Chiefs over the Lions at -2.5. All right, everybody, I'll talk to you guys next week when I make my picks for week number 7. Please check the description below for all of my week 6 picks. Take care, everybody, and enjoy your football weekend.